All right, we're ready to go. Are we re-energized? Are we back, all the way back with the Bills? I am. How can you not be after last week? First order of business, Bills take care of business. Play the Carolina Panthers, they win by 17 because of course they do. Every time the Bills win, they win by double digits. They've done it in all 8 of their wins this year, all by 2 scores. So of course, Carolina, an inferior team, comes into Buffalo and gets beat by 17 points, of course. I mean, I'm not going to dwell on this too much because I don't think it's really that important. Josh Allen throws for 3 touchdowns against the number 1 pass defense, doesn't put up a ton of yards, but not a lot of quarterbacks have put up a ton of yards against Carolina's pass defense. They're very good. Brian Burns is fantastic. Gross Matos had a couple of sacks, maybe 2.5 sacks. As long as they didn't shoot themselves in the foot, they were going to be okay against Carolina. Because Carolina would shoot themselves in the foot, at least on offense, and that's exactly what happened. Brian Burns misses a scoop and score early in the first quarter. Like, that maybe could have changed the complexion of the game a little bit. But he doesn't make it. The Bills end up recovering. They punt. Like, those are the type of things that games come down to sometimes, is not making plays like that. I still think the Bills might have won, even if he scores on that play, because Cam Newton is shot. And then on 4th and 1, this is just at the forefront of my mind right now. On 4th and 1, instead of sneaking it with Cam Newton, which is really all he's really still good at, he is, a physical freak, a physically imposing freak, and what he is best at this point in his career is certainly not throwing the ball. He's still a threat with his legs, in between the tackles, outside of the tackles, getting outside the pocket, etc. That's how he's a threat. And on 4th and 1, they're going to go shotgun and throw a screen pass that he just chucks into the dirt, like a wide receiver screen that he chucks into the dirt. Thank you, Matt Rule. Right then and there, I thought, okay, the Bills have this. The whole kicker thing aside, about the Panthers kicker getting hurt in warm-ups and they don't have a kicker, and now they're going to go for it on 4th down all the time. I know they got to the red zone in the first quarter as well and didn't score because they couldn't kick a field goal. Again, that's the type of thing I don't think is going to be very consequential down the road because, down the course of the game, I mean, because I was completely unthreatened by Cam Newton. So the Bills got their points. They won by 17. It was, maybe a smidge close. Like, they're attempting a 2-point conversion to make this a 1-score game, but they don't get it, and then the Bills end up winning by 17. It's been said. What more do you want me to say about that game? The Bills got some pass rush from some former Carolina Panthers. F.A. Obata has 2 sacks. They were on the same drive. I believe they were in the course of 3 plays. Latulele gets 1. Taron Johnson adds 1. The Bills, there's a nice pass rush there. When you're less threatened by the quarterback as a thrower, you have the luxury of sending additional pass rush. I saw Micah Hyde blitz from safety position. I just said Taron Johnson got a sack, so these nickel corners are blitzing. I'm sure that's fun. That's fun for them, especially when you're not really getting beat down the field too much. What did the Panthers hit? 2 or 3 plays. Robbie Anderson had a nice rush. The Amir Abdullah touchdown was okay, I guess. It was on 3rd down, I believe. So, sure. Not threatened. They take care of business. They're 8-6. They, like I said, they've killed teams when they've won. And in 5 of the 6 games they've lost, they have lost by 1 score. And I have been critical of Josh Allen a little bit for his inability to deliver late in these 1-score games. And, I stand by that. But, I know the luck is involved here a little bit. Sometimes just like inches one way or the other. He gets pushed out how many inches short against Tennessee, doesn't get it on the sneak on like the next play. Against Tampa Bay, he's tiptoeing the sidelines, almost gets a touchdown out of it, almost gets a 1st down out of it. That could eliminate the Diggs penalties and the overtime penalties and whatnot. I know, but you want your $250 million guy to deliver there. I need that drive. I'm not going to go over this whole thing again, but I want that drive. I just want to see it. I want it to happen. Get rid of this front runner. Oh, when we're winning, we win by a lot. Good. I want you to win by a lot. But when, we get down by 10 or 14 or, which hasn't happened a lot. When are they ever really down by that much? Just really against Tampa and Indy this year. And he almost brought him back against Tampa. He played his butt off in the second half. I talked about this last week. I feel like with how often they win by double digits and how often they've lost by, just one score and their point differential, they're more like a 10-4 team than they are 8-6. Maybe even better than 10-4. But I would say like at least 10-4. They come through just a couple of times. One drive against Jacksonville, the slip against Tennessee, the Tampa Bay thing. I'm not going to rehash all of this. I'm just not. The drives against New England. We're going to talk about New England, obviously. And here I am rehashing it after saying I'm not going to. I'm doing it because I can't help it. But, they're 8-6. They're in the middle of the wild card race, which is tough. It's clouded. But it's going to sort itself out over the next couple of weeks. There's a lot of divisional games, especially in the AFC North and the AFC West. So some of those teams are going to fall out. Some of those teams are going to ascend still. I guess you just don't want them to all go 1-for-1, maybe. Unless the Bills get it done this week against New England. Because, like I said at the beginning, we are back. First order of business, talked about Carolina. Second order of business, how could you have not been totally rejuvenated going into the Carolina game? Because on Saturday night, New England lost on the road to Indianapolis. There's some give and some take there. The give is that Indianapolis is now ahead of you. You have the same record, but they've beaten you. So they're ahead of you. But what you're taking is a shot at New England. Everything the Bills want, except really home field advantage, is back in front of them. The whole control their own destiny thing, if you want to say it that way. By beating New England, the Bills become a 95% chance. They have a 95% chance of making the playoffs. And by winning out, they win the division. Most of this is common knowledge to Bills fans at this point. So, how can you even focus on Christmas? How? How am I supposed to sit there with my family on Friday and Saturday all day? And I know it'll be fun. I'll have a good time. I'll eat good. I'll watch football on Saturday. I'll talk football with my family as well. But I cannot think about anything else. It's been hard because I'm impatient. I want it. I want them again. Bring them on. New England did not play well on Saturday night against Indianapolis. They didn't have Damien Harris in the lineup, and it looks like this week they're probably not going to have Ramondre Stevenson. So that's a little swap there. They might take that, okay, because Damien Harris is their leading rusher in terms of yards per carry, in terms of touchdowns. He has 9. He's tied with Hunter Henry for the team lead with 9 touchdowns. So and he beat the Bills. Him and Stevenson beat the Bills a couple of weeks ago with however many run plays. I think was it 46 run plays. The Bills haven't even really seen the passing playbook of New England except on film. They haven't really faced. They faced like this play action flip to Jonnu Smith, a screen pass, and a rollout. That's all. That's only pass plays by New England that they have physically played against. So does that present a challenge? Maybe. Is Mac Jones a challenge? That really is the question. Do you see Mac Jones as a challenge for the Bills defense? Certainly wasn't much of a challenge, at least in the first half, for Indianapolis' defense. He threw 2 interceptions, one practically in the end zone. I believe Darius Leonard picked it off maybe inside the 5 or 10 yard line, but definitely in the red zone. And he followed it up with another interception. So, and they were down. What were they down at halftime? Was it 20-0? Something like that? Looking it up right now. 17-0. They were down 20-0 after the third quarter, and then, like a light switch, here they are. They kick field goal to make it 20-10. A lot of people, and yeah, there you go. There's an example of something I talked about a couple of weeks ago. Like, oh, well, Bill Belichick just gets credit for being Belichick, and yes, he's been to however many Super Bowls and won a bunch. I don't even feel like thinking about that right now. But he's still not immune to bad decisions, and they're on like the 7 yard line on 4th and goal. They're down by 13 with 9 minutes to go, and he kicks the field goal to make it a 2-score game. They do get the ball back. They score a touchdown. Hunter Henry scores his second touchdown. I'm looking at the timeline of it right now with about 2:20 to go. So they had a chance. They had a chance, but they couldn't stop Jonathan Taylor. they kind of got a little taste of their own medicine of what they did against the Bills. Jonathan Taylor had 18 carries in the first half. They're down by 17 points. They're turning the ball over. Carson Wentz goes 5 of 12 for 57 yards and beats them. His touchdown pass isn't much of a touchdown pass. It's just a touchdown flip to Nyheim Hines. Jonathan Taylor, 29 for 170. He had the 67-yard run at the end of the game, so really like 28 for 103 before that, which is, less than 4 yards to carry, so they might have been thinking they were doing a good job on Jonathan Taylor, but now you have to stop him. And they didn't even get to third down. There's an argument to be made that Taylor should have went down as soon as he got the first down, just slid because the Patriots were out of timeouts. But he rubs salt in the wound and probably wins people their fantasy matchup or loses people their fantasy matchup. Good luck if you're in your fantasy finals or Final Four this week. Good luck. I'm in 3 of them. But I'm not. That's not what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm thinking about, I guess, today, setting my fantasy lineup. But I'm thinking about the Bills matchup with the Patriots, obviously. The Bills seem like they're taking it seriously, for sure. I've watched some of their interviews, and they're saying practically nothing. I watched Allen's in particular, and he just kept saying the word execute. We just got to execute. Execute this, execute that. That's Patriots playbook stuff. That's saying nothing. Of course you have to execute. I'm with it. That's not a criticism whatsoever. I'm with it. Say nothing. Just whatever question you get, if we hit this play, it might work. We might win. Hopefully we win. We know what's at stake. Yeah, yada, 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 yada. Okay. Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for that. I think the Bills they're certainly more talented offensively than New England is offensively. They have Josh Allen. They have Stephon Diggs. They won't have Cole Beasley. I'm not going to go into some spiel about Cole Beasley and his COVID status and everything. I'm just going to take the McDermott route and say, well, he's in COVID. It's unfortunate they're not going to have him. I wish they did. Maybe they'll get Emmanuel Sanders back. Gabriel Davis is really emerging over the past couple of weeks. Went 5 for 85, 2 touchdowns last week against Carolina. So, how do you even take him out of the lineup? Maybe you kick Sanders into the slot. That's how... I don't know how that's going to work. I'm curious to see how that's going to work, but as long as Gabriel Davis is on the field, Emmanuel Sanders is back in the lineup, could soften the blow of Beasley in the slot. At least I hope it does. Where was I? The Bills on offense. Sorry, obviously. I'm just talking about the offense. A lot's been made about how the Bills, like Devin Singletary last week, had a nice game, 86 yards rushing. A lot's made about how the Bills just can't run the ball, but they're like 12th in the league in rushing. And I know that part of that is Josh Allen. Allen averages 6 yards a tote. Singletary averages 4.7. Breeda's, limited action, but is averaging like 4.8. It's really just Zach Moss has been weighing down the running game so far this year. 3.4 yards per carry. I don't want to see the Bills necessarily, establish the run. I don't really want to see them establish the run ever. I want them to throw all over New England, like they did on Monday Night Football last year. Diggs had 3 touchdowns. I want more of that. We always want more of that. Of course you do. The pass rush could be a problem. Deion Dawkins still in COVID. John Feliciano still in COVID. That's the left side of your line. Matt Judon usually plays over the right tackle. Not always, but usually plays over the right tackle. But if you're shifting Spencer Brown to left tackle, who he had a rough game against Carolina, good thing he had the beer swilling celebration because he had like 5 or 6 penalties and did not have a good game. They might exploit that. Patriots might just, if Spencer Brown has to play left tackle again, they might just, like, Matt Judon, why don't you just play over here again? Because he's a force. He's a force to be reckoned with back there, or on the defensive line, outside linebacker role. We know them. We know their personnel. We have a bad taste in our mouth. I really haven't even thought about what I'm going to predict for this game until just now. This is a lot of times I'll start this video thinking about who I think is going to win, and now I really hadn't. I've talked myself into it. I'm going to pick it right now. I'm going to pick the Patriots. There, I'm going to do it. 26-23, Patriots. Prove to me that they're not back. This is for dramatic effect. Prove to me that they're not back. That's what I said against them last time. Prove it to me this time. Guys, enjoy your Christmas. Have a very Merry Christmas. Talk to you next week, where hopefully the Bills will be in first place in the AFC East. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your weekend. As always, above all else, go Bills.